2.5 years ago, I made the decision to stop drinking alcohol. And it started off as a 1-year challenge. I had recently become a father, and I was starting to look at my life, my decisions, where I was going, where I had been, and just starting to reflect. And anyone that is a parent, I'm sure, can relate to this story in regards to just starting to really reevaluate and examine things through a completely different lens. The day that I held my daughter in my hands, my life changed forever, and probably in many ways that I'm not even aware of yet. I'm sure more and more insights will come along the way. So I want to share with you my story about alcohol and what that first year was like, and then what ultimately led me into where I am now, which is 2.5 years of being alcohol free. So April 23rd of, 2022, I made the decision to go a year. I decided, you know what, let's do a 1-year challenge. I'm just curious as to what would happen. I wanted to see what kind of effects there would be, if there would be any health benefits, and I just wanted to do a challenge. And I said, let's do 1 year. Let's see what DeMarco is like as a father, as a husband, as a coach, as a small business owner, and as a community member. What does that look like? And I was really curious about that. So I didn't tell anybody. I just went ahead and did it. I eventually told my wife, I think about 3 or 4 months in. She was asking me like, "Oh, are you not drinking now? Like, oh, what's going on?" And I told her, and then I just kind of kept it under wraps. This video, like I said, I want to share my story with you, but I'm not doing this for like a pat on the back or anything like that. I'm sharing the story with you, and I think some of you might see this, and this might resonate with you. Maybe you have a similar story. So if you do, by the way, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I think that one thing that's wonderful, particularly for men, is for us to talk about things more. I think it's really important for us to do that, and to talk things out and process with other people. There's no need for us to just kind of do the old school method of just keep it all in, and do that. We have communities for a reason, and if you don't, I highly suggest that you find one. I have a wonderful group of other men that I can hang out with and share ideas with, and do stuff and have fun. So again, there's just a little bit of a side note. So again, I started off with that 1-year challenge, and again, I wanted to see what it would look like. What does this look like? And I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I was really curious. I had been a drinker for about, close to 20, or not 20 years, but about 18 years. So I had started drinking when I was 15. I lived over in Germany, and the drinking age is a little bit lower there. So I took advantage of that when I was younger. So it's it's different culture, and there's just kind of give you that little bit of a context. So, and actually, when you were 18, living overseas, you could go onto the bases and go to clubs and go drink liquor. So it was very much a part of the culture, particularly with the military. There's a lot of alcohol use there, and it's just something that was just very normal. And by the way, before I go any further, I want to establish a couple of ground rules. Number one, I do not think that the use or abstinence of alcohol is a moral issue. I don't think that someone is moral or immoral, moral for not drinking alcohol or immoral for choosing to not drink it. I don't want to do that. I will never be the person that's preaching, sitting there proselytizing and talking about how I'm superior because I choose not to do it. Not at all. Please don't get that message from this video. I cannot stand those kinds of people. You hear the people that are on the carnivore diet or vegans or keto or anything, and if you find an approach that works for you, that's truly wonderful. I am very happy for you. But when people start getting into that superiority, mindset of, my method is better, it works for me, so it will definitely work for you, and I'm better than you, and all that. I walk out of the room when I start hearing that kind of language and talk, because it's foolish. It's very toxic, and it's just not fun. It's just a vibe killer. So I am in no way putting myself on a pedestal for this. There are many people, I've met people, which, by the way, as I've talked about it with more people have opened up with me, and I've heard some crazy stories. I know people that have been sober for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years plus, and people that really went through some really tough times. So wanted to establish those ground rules. I in no way think I am better than anybody for choosing not to drink. I in no way think that somebody has a problem because they choose to drink alcohol. My wife, for example, it's a constant running joke in the family. She can have one glass of wine and she can make that glass of wine last the entire evening. You know, if we're at a party or hanging out at home, she can make that wine last anywhere from 3 to 5 hours, and it's hilarious. And when I used to drink, at the end of the day, I would say, all right, man, let me finish this thing. I can't let it go to waste. And now it's just funny because now alcohol just sits in our house and it doesn't even get drunk because she barely drinks too. So it's quite funny, thinking about it now, the kind of that mindset. And what's interesting about this substance is that it's the only substance that I can think of where you have to explain why you're not using it, why you're not consuming it. And it's really interesting because I made the choice. Again, I didn't tell a lot of people. I wasn't sitting here, waving my flag and looking for my little pat on the back. But people noticed. They noticed things, right? They're like, oh, you're not drinking? Oh, do you want a beer? Oh, you don't want to drink? Now, luckily, the people in my circle are wonderful. I didn't have anybody that was like trying to pressure me to drink or anything like that. I'm way past the college phase of life. And the people in my circle I'm just very fortunate to have some wonderful people around me. So I didn't get any of that. But it's funny, I was a little afraid of that when I first started. I was like, oh God, what are people going to think? That fear and that uncertainty. It's so amazing to me. I think it was Seneca that said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And that is so true with my experience. As soon as people asked the first time, hey, do you want a beer? I just say, no, I'm good. No, thank you. And they're like, okay, cool. And that was it. That was the conversation. It wasn't like, now there were times where people say, oh, are you not drinking? People would be curious. And I would just tell them, I'm not drinking right now. I would give kind of not a super definitive answer of like, I'm just not going to drink tonight. I don't feel like drinking tonight. While in my mind, it was like, we're going to do this year and we're going to reassess. And so that was interesting. That cultural piece of alcohol's everywhere, man. It's in commercials. It's such a part of our culture. I watch football. I mean, there's a bunch of ads for all the different beer companies, liquors, and everything, and to the point where they're in Super Bowl commercials. It's a big thing. I personally love the Budweiser commercials. They have a lot of fun with those, and they get really creative, and they really get you in the feels too. So they're slick with the way they operate that way. And so I did that year and was kind of navigating that interesting cultural, not a lot of pushback, but I would say a little bit, where people were asking like, oh, you're not drinking. Oh, that's interesting. Why are you not drinking? And it's so fascinating how literally anything else, if you quit, people say, oh, good job. That's wonderful. And again, I'm not going to sit here and go into the science of it because I'm certainly not an expert, but there's a pretty large mountain of evidence out there that shows that there's probably not a whole lot of health benefits to the consumption of alcohol, but when you start to exceed particularly that moderate level, even moderate drinking, from the last study that I saw, there was actually a decent amount of health effects, those being negative. So I listened to this podcast about it, and it got me just really, really thinking about it more and more as I was preparing to make this decision. And what was really funny was I made the decision. It was on April 23rd, which is the day before my birthday. And on April 24th of that year, we were actually at the airport. We were traveling back home from somewhere. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, it's my birthday. Let's have one more beer. Why not? And it was almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde moment, that kind of internal conversation. And the other, I guess, Dr. Jekyll said, no, we're not. We said yesterday, we said the year, and it starts now. We're not playing. So it's kind of just an interesting little moment there where I just, kind of had a conversation with myself and said, no, we said a year, and we said yesterday was the last day, so we're good. And it wasn't a huge battle or anything like that. And to get into the next part of this video, which is the effects that I experienced, it's actually quite amazing. I was a little nervous about some side effects, because there have been periods in my life that were more stressful, and I definitely consumed more alcohol during those more stressful times. And when things were just going better, I tended to not drink as much, although sometimes I did for celebratory reasons. But there were periods in my life that were quite stressful and quite challenging to get through. And I look back now and I realize I did use alcohol as a crutch to get through some of those tough times, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I don't think I don't think that makes me a bad person or again, not immoral or weak or anything, but it's a vice. It is a vice, and for me, it was a crutch. And I will totally admit that to you and just be honest and transparent. And the more I look back, the more I realize how much I was using it. And I'm not going to go so far as to say that I'm an alcoholic. I don't believe in that label for myself, but I definitely can and will admit that I did not have a healthy relationship with the substance, and there were times where I overindulged. And I'm not proud of it, but it's the reality. I'm sitting here, I'm opening up to you, and I want to be, again, transparent and share my story and be authentic. And yeah, that's just the truth of it. There were periods in my life where I was over consuming, and I was using it as a crutch to get through really, really hard times, really, really challenging times in my life. And as you look back, hindsight's 2020. Things look different when you look back versus when you look forward. You think about a decision and the future, results or effects of that decision. But it's so easy to look back. You're like, oh yeah, this is what happened. This is what I did, and this is what happened, right? It's easy to watch the game, watch the replay, and go, oh my God, if only he stepped 2 inches to the left, he would have caught the ball. And so it's easy, obviously, to get into that easy downward spiral. I am happy to report to you that not only did I not have any negative side effects, it was a tremendously upward spiral for me all the way around. So there were definitely times where I would kind of crave it. Friday around 5 o'clock, there was that kind of, I lived in Boston, and the town we lived in, Somerville, there were a lot of restaurants with outdoor patios, and when the sun comes out, it's outdoor patio season. You go, you sit out there, you get your burger, wings, and a beer, and it's total, a big part of the culture there. So I definitely went through that a little bit of like, oh damn, man, I really could use I would love a fiddlehead right now, sitting out, with my burger, and but it was kind of a reminder of like, nope, we're not doing it for this year. We're good. I didn't get I didn't get any of the extreme thing, like my hands weren't shaking, I wasn't getting DTs or anything like that. So I'm not gonna sit here and overhype any of this stuff to create fake drama. But there were some cravings for sure, and I was able to get through that pretty easily. That really wasn't nearly as challenging as I thought it was gonna be. But then the benefits almost started immediately. It was really incredible. My sleep quality improved immediately. I mean, within about 2 or 3 days, I noticed that I was waking up less groggy, less tired, definitely more alert. And as a result of that, every facet of my life improved. I found that, I just had more capacity for my workouts. My workouts improved. My strength immediately went up. My recovery, of course, if you're sleeping better, you're going to recover more. So my workouts improved tremendously. I was able to hit bigger weights, hit more volume. I was recovering from my training sessions, and was just feeling good. I was starting to feel like I was performing closer to my physical capacity, my physical potential. And then from a mental standpoint, I was less irritable. I was much better at dealing with obstacles, much more resilient, and much better able to pivot and really adjust when things change, which is very helpful when you have a spouse and you have a child and you have a dog and a cat and you're running a business and you're trying to work and trying to take care of yourself, trying to balance all of those plates at once. So I was immediately much better able to deal with and handle the challenges and the obstacles that came my way, that continue to come my way, by the way. So that was a really wonderful thing there. My dreams became more vivid. It was so fascinating. I had lucidly dreamt several times in the past, but over this last 2.5 years, I've lucidly dreamt more. My dreams have been more vivid, and I've remembered my dreams more. So it's just been a neat thing. I'm sure a neuroscientist could hop on and tell us more about the why and the how behind that. But I thought that was really fascinating and really, really cool. It was just really neat talking about dreams, and had dreams where I knew I was dreaming, and I would make myself float, almost like trying to fly. And it was really neat. It was just such a weird, cool kind of thing to happen, almost like Neo in the Matrix of like, oh, look what I can do. I can bend these walls, and I can play around with these constructs, with this simulation. So wonderful benefits all around. Like I said, workouts improved. My sleep improved as a result of that. I was able to definitely just make better nutritional decisions. It's a tremendous amount of calories that you're consuming. So when you start doing that, less of that, more water, really good all around. I was feeling better, and really got rid of that kind of bloat that you get, particularly from drinking beer, because beer was certainly my drink of choice, whether it was at a ball game or hanging out watching sports at home, and yeah, so it was just amazing all around, just physically and mentally feeling better. And I hit that year, and the benefits were so tremendous. They tremendously outweighed the negatives. So to the point where like continuing to not drink, it was the only thing that made sense for me, and to me. It was just like, I said, dude, we're done. We're out. And then I kind of changed my language after that too. I hit that first year, and I remember talking to my wife about it, talked to a couple of close trusted friends, and I said, I think I'm going to retire. I think I'm done. I think I'm out of the game. Although, really funny story actually that happened. I was hanging out with one of my former guests on the Strength with Purpose show, Zach Henderson, who's a friend and mentor of mine. We went to a restaurant in Nashville, and we were having dinner. It's myself, my wife, Vivi, Zach's there sitting with me, and then my in-laws are there. And I ordered what I thought was a non-alcoholic beer, and I got it. I took that first sip, and it tasted a little too good. I've been drinking NA beers. The non-alcoholic beer scene has really blown up, particularly over the last 5-7 years. And I took that first sip, and I thought, ooh, this tastes a little too good. I'm a little suspicious, but I didn't want to make a scene, and I wasn't going to be super concerned about it. And I slowly drank it, and it was quite tasty. I won't lie. I'm still not 100% sure whether or not it was an NA. It was very good, and it tasted very hoppy. If any of you have had these, you understand that NA beers some of them are really good. A lot of them are really watered down, right? Like, honestly, maybe it's better to just drink a Michelob Ultra than some of those beers for at least a slight semblance of flavor. But yeah, so that little thing happened, and I just laughed about it when I went home, and I didn't feel any effects or anything. Slept fine, everything was good. And then I just joke about it from time to time, like I like 2.5 years with an asterisk. Maybe I accidentally had one, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So now, not that it matters. I'm not in that mindset where it's like all or nothing. I have to have to do it or anything like that. But I just thought that was a funny little moment that happened there. So, and the last piece that I wanted to share with you in this video is two things. The first thing is that DeMarco, that does not drink alcohol at all, minus that one potential accidental beer 2 years ago, I'm a better father, I'm a better husband, I'm a better coach, and I'm a better member of this community. And that's just the truth. That's the facts of it. Again, I am not judging people that consume the substance. It's a tremendous industry. A lot of people are able to consume it responsibly and not get the same kind of negative benefits as me. But I was speaking to a friend of mine who also has pretty bad ADHD like I do, and it really just completely. I just told her, I said, it fucks up my wiring. That was what I said, pardon my language, but that was just the first thought to mind, was like, it really just like messes up the wiring up here. And not drinking, stopping the consumption of it just really fixed things for me. It was really helpful. Just, again, keeping these marbles up here from rattling around too much, trying to organize them a little bit more. So that was the first piece there, is that I am 100% operating at a higher level with greater capacity, and I'm more effective at what I do and what I want to do, and I'm more fulfilled. So that's just the truth of the matter. And then the other piece to that I think is very fascinating is that I actually went back to therapy right around the same time. And I also got medicated for my ADHD. So all three of those things happened at once. So it was really an amazing mental and emotional transformation for me, which was amazing. Which, by the way, therapy's awesome. if you've got stuff you need to talk about, I highly suggest that you go find a professional, find someone that's licensed and can help you, and it can be truly, truly life-changing. So that little tangent aside, the thing that people don't tell you about is when you drink alcohol, when you do it regularly, it numbs you. It has a numbing effect. And I 100% will admit again, I used it as a crutch to get through really challenging moments in my life. And when you take that away, you remove that pacifier, that security blanket, and it's you in the darkness. And luckily, again, I had the therapy that was really beneficial to help me process all of that. But it's you in the darkness, and you've got no choice now but to face it. And the really neat thing is that it's scariest right in the beginning, but when you take the time, do the work, show up, it gets easier, it gets less scary, and you reach a point of mastery. I'm not going to say I'm a master over myself or anything like that, but you get closer and closer to mastery, and that Abraham Maslow's, that top of his pyramid for the hierarchy of needs, that self-actualization, which I think is a really wonderful ideal for us to strive for. So that's my story on alcohol. I'm 2.5 years in. I think technically a little bit more than that, because 2.5, 2.6 years, whatever. I feel great. I have no inkling or idea to start drinking again. There's really just not really been much of an urge. It really feels like it's been removed out of my life completely. Beers can sit in the fridge. Someone can come over and have them. It's all good. I don't have that shaky moment like in the movies where they're like, oh my God, like you're fighting yourself. I'm very fortunate in that regard. And but it's been a tremendous positive change for me. And if this video resonates with you, I hope it does. I hope maybe it inspires you. Maybe it encourages you to consider maybe reduction or elimination of it, or if you are already not drinking, I would love to hear your story. Please comment below. Let me know how it's been for you, and it would be great to talk to other like-minded people that are on a similar journey. So thank you so much for tuning in with me for this episode of the Strength with Purpose show. If you got value out of this video, please hit subscribe button, all that good stuff. Help me out with the algorithm, and until then, I'll catch you on the flip side.